Now, hashtag Not In My Name is staging a march tomorrow demanding justice for Collins Khosa and everyone else who's been killed by law enforcement officers in South Africa during the nationwide lockdown. We're joined by the organization's Jentile. Also being part of the conversation is the Nelson Mandela CEO, Sello Hatang, who says that protesters in the US are signaling to the world that enough is enough. Sia, let me begin with you. Why the need to hold a protest? It's been a couple of weeks since Collins Khosa's life was claimed at the hands of police. Why now?
No, thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Sia, I'm going to interrupt you there. We seem to be having a bit of a difficulty with your line. So while we try and establish a stronger connection, let me go to Sello Hatang. The Nelson Mandela Foundation today issuing a statement in support of those that are fighting against racism in the US. Good evening, Sello. I would have thought that the statement would have been released much earlier. It's about 9 days later. Why did it take so long?
Well, thank you very much, Cathy, for this opportunity. I think it's never too late to demand justice for those who die daily. It's never too late for us to add our voice to ensure that we don't just recognize this moment as a U.S. moment, but to recognize it as a South African moment. In other words, whatever is happening in the U.S. is not unique in terms of Black Lives Not Matter. That even here at home, we need to recognize this continued struggles that we have here. And it's never too late to then demand that Dr. Collins Khosa also get some kind of justice. So the timing of the NMF, I think, was perfect, because the report that has just exonerated those who killed him just came out recently. So I think the combination of these issues mean that solidarity around these issues of Black Lives Mattering was well timed by the foundation.
I wonder how far you're going to go with this solidarity campaign, because as a foundation, you also have strong links and strong networks in the United States.
Yeah, some of the work that we will be doing in the coming days include our program on Atlantic Fellows for Racial Equity. Some of these fellows have started to do some work again on this matter. You'll know that some of the work that we've done through Africa has impacted lives in the US and here in terms of looking at the systemic nature of racism. And way back when we hosted Thomas Piketty in 2015, he indicated that for as long as inequality is at the levels that it is at the moment, you are bound to have violence, it being toppled violently. And I think what's happening in the U.S., again, will strengthen our hand through the Atlantic Fellows for Racial Equity program that we are doing there, but it also has scholars here in South Africa. So the roots will be deepened in order for us to try fight racism and its systemic nature.
All right, let me try and bring Sia Jentile back into this conversation. Of course, Sia is hosting, or they're busy planning a protest march tomorrow to the U.S. Embassy. In fact, I'll be able to take you back to him as soon as we have him back on the line. But Sello, we're seeing organizations like hashtag Not In My Name organizing these protests. Are you going to be doing the same?
Look, the way we've been planning to tackle this has been through our dialogue program. But we will not hesitate to join those who are calling for marches to be joined. Of course, with all the cautions that need to be applied with the times that we have, it being winter and COVID-19. So we will join whatever movement is there to ensure that the foundation is counted as one of those that not only pledge this solidarity in word, but in action too. So our AFRI program, for example, will be intensified so that the dialogue that will be coming up in the coming days will not just be asking for reconciliation, but for redress and for people to be transforming themselves and institutions that hold power. And Cathy, the reality is that you see daily when you are a black person in our country. Whiteness tends to, and here I need to be clear, that I'm not talking about white people, but it's whiteness, white privilege, tends to then always ensure that you know your place. And when you're driving through these roadblocks, for example, the way cops treat you and the soldiers treat you as a black person is far more different. And recently I was in the Free State, and I saw how we were stopped for about 45 minutes. A white woman could tell these cops off. And I kept on thinking, if it was a black woman or a black man, they would quickly be stopped. But she was appeased instead. So I think it's important that we recognize that this moment is not a U.S. moment only. It's a global moment. And therefore, all of us must take action in solidarity with the U.S., but to recognize that here, at home, also, these Black Lives Matter too.
Sure. We've managed to get Sia Gentile back on the line. He's with the hashtag Not In My Name campaign. Sia, you guys are marching tomorrow. And the question that I was putting to you is, you're marching against the killing of Collins Khosa and George Floyd. Khosa was killed a couple of weeks ago. Why now?
Thank you again, Cathy, for this opportunity. Look, I mean, as my colleague at Sello just said, that there can never be a right moment to confront racism. It is institutionalized. It's been going on for years. I mean, black people for over 400 years, we have been fighting racism. But the situation is a bit different at home, because you'll remember that the killers of Collins Khosa were actually black law enforcement officers. But to answer you directly, it is to say that we were hoping that the Department of Defense, especially the minister, were very disappointed with the manner in which she is handling this whole issue. We're hoping that by this time at least there would be some light in a sense that will get justice for Collins Khosa. But not only Collins, Petros, Miguels as well, as Busiso Amos and others who are just over the number 10. But so far we are not happy with the progress, and that is why we believe that tomorrow it's a very monumental for us, and it's important that we go to the street and actually, just try and peacefully demonstrate, making sure that we observe all the COVID-19 regulations. But yes, what is important, Cathy, just in closing this comment, is to say that we are not going to the U.S. Embassy to demand justice for Collins Khosa. We understand that the issues are complex and they are diverse, but we have got a meeting point, and the story of George as well as Collins and others are parallel. So what we are saying is that by us going to the embassy tomorrow, we are standing in solidarity with our American counterparts, as well as joining forces with the rest of the world to call for justice for him as well. But also we are saying to the Department of Justice of South Africa as well, as well as the Department of Defense Force in South Africa, that we demand justice for Collins Khosa's family, as well as everyone else who has died at the hands of those who were charged with actually protecting them during the national lockdown.
As a country with its roots so deeply rooted in racism, why is it so important for South Africa to be part of the solidarity? Sia?
Yes, look, I mean, our history, if it's anything to go by, history has taught us in South Africa that democratic dispensation is brought by mass action. This country was not liberated by tweets. It was not liberated through social media, but it was liberated by men and women who were on the ground physically and demanding that we be treated like everyone else in the rest of the world. And you will remember that, in fact, in the 1960s, when at the height, when most of our freedom fighters were being detained without trial, we had most of our leaders, the likes of Tambo and Dr. Yusuf Dadoo, going and outside the country and mobilizing the international community to say that the situation in South Africa is bad, and we received the support of the international community. And then it is upon us now, and it is our responsibility collectively as South Africans and African nations to stand up and say that we are part of the global community, as my colleague Sello said now, that this is not a South African issue, it's not a South African issue, it is a global issue whereby war has been declared on black bodies, so that now we need really to stand up and be part of the international community and say we cannot take it no more because we are not the children of a lesser God.
All right, Sia Gentile, let's leave it there. He is with the hashtag Not In My Name. Sello, let me wrap up this conversation with you. As the foundation, you of course have levers of access that most don't. I wonder, are you going to be making any specific demands on the U.S. government?
We have not taken...
All right. It looks like that link to Sello Hatang is also letting us down. So we'll wrap it up there for this segment of our special focus on race, rage and justice. After the break, I'm in conversation with the former U.S. ambassador and now the chair of the Open Society Foundation, Patrick Gaspard.